Impeachment and the Ukraine scandal have two totally different narratives depending on which channel you happen to watch. If you're watching us, of course, we're going to tell you about the allegations that the President of the United States approached a foreign government to try to impact his own election. And he did it again. It's all in a whistleblower account that shows pretty much in black and white the president asking the head of Ukraine to do him a favor and investigate his main political rival. That's here. If you watch Fox News Channel, you're going to hear stuff like this.
The resistance movement is hyperventilating, and Nancy Pelosi succumbed to the pressure she was getting within her caucus and to this radical socialist far left part of the Democratic Party.
This is tearing up the Constitution, throwing it out the window, and doing anything they can to subvert the will of the people, and it needs to be called that. This is a coup.
The so-called whistleblower, who didn't have first-hand knowledge of the phone call, may not have a protected whistleblower status at all.
What's the difference if the president did do that? What's the difference in that and what what you're saying Joe Biden did by saying, I'm not giving you $1 billion, Ukraine, unless you fire this prosecutor?
What Biden did is
almost worse,
is
right?
A quintessential quid pro quo. And if he was doing it solely to help his son, you know, that could be a corrupt act that involves honest services fraud, bribery, and so forth.
Understand if you feel like you want to shower after that, but stick with us. On a panel show called The Five, which is basically four conservatives ganging up on Democrat Juan Williams, this is pretty typical of what you'll see.
Boy, those talking points, they've made the rounds because the reality is...
Wait, what does that mean? Whoa. What does that mean? Are you saying that I got talking points, Juan? No, you got to answer. You got to answer to the accusation.
You're telling me I was told what to say about the White House?
I'm saying they're all around, but here's the problem.
You had a whole day to talk. You didn't have to... Let's get Katie in. At least she has something to say that's original.
Here we go. Asking a foreign government to investigate a political rival is illegal.
Oh.
It's illegal. Okay. It's a violation of the Constitution.
Did you get that from Media Matters, Juan?
I'll pour one out for political discourse. My next guest, Matt Gertz, is a senior fellow at the aforementioned Media Matters to help us parse through all this. Matt, thanks for a few minutes. I want to get to what they're saying on Fox News in just a second, but first, take me inside, because we're hearing about schisms in conservative media and inside Fox News. Shep Smith versus Tucker Carlson, Chris Wallace versus the opinion people. Even Hannity reportedly in private thinks this is bad for Trump. Do you take that as being a real division inside Fox and a chance that some of them might abandon Trump, or is it just that the Trump supporters aren't all on the same talking points yet?
Well, I think there's always been a sort of bare handful of people in Fox News who don't necessarily support the president. Fox talks a lot about this distinction between their news side and their opinion side, and for the most part, that's a bit of a fiction. But there are a couple of people like Chris Wallace and Shep Smith who do attempt to provide some sense of reality to their programming. And over the last few days, they've had quite a rough time of it. I mean, you heard what happened to Juan Williams when he was criticizing some of his colleagues there, and Shep Smith as well came in for some tough treatment from Tucker Carlson after he attempted to defend his own colleague who had been attacked on Carlson's show. So there's a real live back and forth that's been happening on that network over the last couple of days. Who's to say how long it'll last, but it's certainly going on.
Maybe grab some popcorn and enjoy it burning for a few moments. So I want to go through some of the specific points that have been made on Fox and have you correct the record as best you can. And the first one they're hearing most often is that this is all just a hoax or a witch hunt.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something that they've been saying, that the White House has been not coincidentally saying at the same time. But what we have here is a whistleblower who's come forward with a fairly specific allegation that's already been confirmed by the memorandum of the president's conversation with the Ukrainian president that was released earlier this week. It has him in very direct terms basically responding to a request to buy more U.S. Javelin missiles by saying, first, I need you to do me a favor and investigate this conspiracy theory that I have about the 2016 election and investigate Joe Biden. Those are cases where the president is asking for a thing of value that would benefit him personally and benefit his reelection in exchange for like a state action by the U.S. government. That's a very serious situation. That's one that Democrats, at least, are responding to with some vigor.
The next one is a pretty wide one. I'll pull it all under the header of Democrats bad. It's either They'll say Trump derangement syndrome run amok, or they'll just insult or attack Democrats, that they're attacking the Constitution. We heard that one. Democrats are just trying to overturn an election. It's all partisan, or they'll personally attack Democrats in ways like this.
What's surprising, though, is how so many of these extreme and mindless statements come from people with long and apparently distinguished careers, debasing themselves in order to be on television. Really, the prime example is the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, Congressman Adam Schiff of Burbank, California. Keep in mind, that isn't some guy babbling in the men's room at Starbucks. That's the man who chairs the mighty House Intelligence Committee. We trust him with our most sensitive information. And yet he's demonstrably mentally ill, Adam Schiff is.
How would you respond to that bevy of attacks of the whole Democrats bad?
It's always good to hear Tucker Carlson talking about debasing oneself by appearing on television, that's for sure. I mean, look, this is what they're going to do. They're going to try to smear the Democrats because they don't have the facts on their side. They don't have any good arguments to make. And so all they can really do is try to wind up their audience by saying, look, it's them coming after us again. Please help the president.
And I'll get into one more with you if I can, that there was no quid pro quo on the phone call, so there's no smoking gun. He didn't say, hey, help me out with Biden or we're going to pull your military funding.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically a way of saying nice country you've got there. Would be a shame if something were to happen to it is a totally fine way to do business. I think it's pretty clear to anyone reading the transcript of that phone call exactly what was going on. The president gets asked if he can, if the Ukrainian government can buy some missiles, and he responds by asking that he needs a favor done. And the favor is help for the president's 2020 re-election campaign. I mean, I don't really know what exactly they want. I mean, mainly what they want is for the whole story to go away.
Finally, Matt, before I lose you, I just want to get your advice on something, because a number of us are going to be spending time this weekend with friends or family members who keep the TV on Fox and they rip off the knob. If you're running into those folks and they want to debate you or pick a fight with you, what would you say? You think our viewers should engage? And if so, give me one or two lines of defense of the impeachment inquiry that our viewers can use to help end that debate and get us back to whatever it was that we all got together for in the first place.
I would just, if you're going to have that discussion, just print out the full memorandum of that phone call and have them read it read it out loud with them and see if that sounds like it's an appropriate way for a president to act.
I'm just curious, is that when you come across conservatives or Fox News viewers in your own personal life, do you generally let it go, or do you get into it with them and start debating them point for point?
Oh, I think it depends. It depends on what the issue is. It depends on, whether I want to go through it at that particular time.
All right. Matt Gertz is the senior fellow at Media Matters who focuses on the relationship between Fox News and the Trump administration. Matt, really appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
You too.
And up next here on RFL, our special report on officer suicides at the NYPD. It's becoming an epidemic, but the department has the resources to help. The question is it?